Hello and welcome friends. In this series of lecture, we will look at what are the different types of hypervisor and how does they behave with respect to performance and other criteria. So there are namely two types of hypervisor and it's simple, it's called as type 1 and type 2. What is type 1 hypervisor? A bare metal hypervisor installed on the physical hardware directly. You don't have any translating media or layer for the hypervisor. That hypervisor is called as type 1 hypervisor. Examples of type 1 hypervisor are like ESXi, VMware's ESXi, and Microsoft's Hyper-V. Type 1 hypervisor is more performance centric. So if you have enterprise applications and you want to host a lot of different servers, you will go for type 1 hypervisor. The reason they have more performance is they don't have a hosted operating system in between to translate or to do a binary translations. That's the reason type 1 hypervisors are better for enterprise perspective. The drawback is they are not free and you have to pay money to actually use them. Some of them are free like KVM, but it does not have a user interface the way ESXi or Hyper-V has. So if you want to use KVM, you might have to write some of your own wrappers with respect to spawning a VM, refreshing a VM. So there are set of commands with respect to KVMs using virtual commands which you can use. Those virtual commands are given by the library called as libvirt. You can use libvirts to execute those commands, but from the user's perspective you may not be able to do that. You are a student, you wanted to have a quick Linux machine on your Windows desktop. You will not be able to spend time, or you may not have sufficient knowledge to start using KVM to do all those kinds of things for you. That's why even though KVM is free, they're not good from the student's perspective for type 1 hypervisor. However, it does not mean type 1 hypervisor like KVMs are bad. KVM is one of the best hypervisor, but they are more suitable for enterprise, where a set of people with dedicated resource, they know the KVM internals, they have the required know-how, systems and kernels knowledge, and they can spin up a VM or they can create a new product out of KVM. Type 1 hypervisors usually supports more RAM. Let's suppose you have a hardware which has 512 GB of RAM. Now 512 GB of RAM is very much feasible in enterprise side, not on the desktop. But let's say for the sake of discussions, you have 528 GB of RAM or 512 GB of RAM on your desktop machines and you want to use type 2 hypervisor. They may not support, but type 1 hypervisor, which is more enterprise centric, most of them does support those kind of configurations. So if you look into the type 1 hypervisor, you may see that there is a physical hardware, and then on the physical hardware the hypervisor is hosted, and all the virtual machines, these virtual machines are nothing but guest operating system. This guest operating system directly talks to the hypervisor, and the hypervisor will talk to the physical server. There is no intermediate operating system. Some of the examples are like Microsoft Hyper-V, Oracle. This is not the Oracle VirtualBox, because Oracle's VirtualBox, which was previously made by Sun Microsystem, is a type 2 hypervisor. This is a Oracle VM. This is a different VM. And VMware ESXi and VMware vSphere. These are all examples of type 1 hypervisor, more centric to enterprise customers. Now what is type 2 hypervisor? When you have a hosted hypervisor, that means on top of physical layer you have an operating system, and on top of operating system you have a hypervisor. So basically all the calls from your guest operating system goes through your OS, your host OS. That's hypervisor is called as type 2 hypervisor. Type 2 hypervisors are more suitable for desktop and PC environments, for Mac environments, and it supports less physical resources. It may not support 512 GB of RAM, but that's okay because no desktop or no students or development machine will have that much of resources. It is slightly less performant, but for development purpose or for the lab purpose, this is perfectly all right. So if you see the difference between type 1 and type 2, this OS on the hardware, this operating system, that is the only missing part in type 1. Otherwise they are same. When I say otherwise they are same, that does not mean they are completely different from the design perspective, but from the top level architectural perspective, this is the missing part. Now if you look for some of the type 1 examples, type 1 hypervisor, VMware ESXi, it's a paid software. Its license varies between 5,000 to almost 15,000. So some of them are like 7,000. It depends upon how many CPU cores you are using, whether you are using a VMware ESXi along with vSphere, and there are a couple of other bundles. So it depends upon the bundles, but on an average 5,000 to 7,000 it will cost you for a license for one physical hardware. KVM is free, but like I said, even though it being free, you cannot use it directly without having the know-how. KVM is part of Linux kernel. You don't have to buy anything. All you have to do is to enable some of the kernel modules and install some of the package like user level package like libvirt, and you should be able to use it. It's fairly simple, but still not good from the student's perspective, because when you need to have a virtual machine to do some experiment, you want to be as quick as possible to set up your environment and go running. You can't spend your time configuring KVM and writing some scripts to refresh a VM, to launch a VM, to point a VM to a ISO. That would be too much of a hassle. But if you're building a product, you're working in an enterprise, someone is paying you money, then using the open source software KVM, you can build up a new tools, new software, then that is one of the best thing. Similarly, we have Microsoft Hyper-V. The Hyper-V itself is free. However, it comes with a Windows license. Hyper-V is present in Windows 10 and Windows 2016. Maybe some newer version of Windows might also have Hyper-V, but I'm not aware of that. And also Hyper-V is present in Windows 2012 with some limitations, but that's beyond the scope of this tutorial to discuss those limitations. The bottom line is Windows Hyper-V is free. However, you will still have to pay Windows 10 or Windows 2016 license fee. Then another type of hypervisor, type 1 hypervisor, is Citrix, which is again a paid software. It's very famous, and Citrix were the original developer of the Xen hypervisor. Xen is open source and Citrix is a enterprise centric, which is a paid software. Some of the examples of the paid examples of type 2 hypervisors are Oracle VirtualBox. This is free, so most of the time we will be using this. Some of you who has the liberty and who has access to VMware Workstation or VMware Fusion, they can use this. But VirtualBox is something which all of us will have access because it's absolutely free. You can just download and install. So we will be using type 2 hypervisor, VirtualBox. I also have VMware Workstation. I will show you how to use and configure VMware Workstation and VMware Fusion also, but it's not needed. The reason being it's not free and some of you might not have access to those software. Parallel Desktop is again for Mac only, and I'm not sure whether it's paid or not paid. I believe it's a paid software, but it's just for the Mac. So that's all for this video, and I hope to see you in my next video. You have a nice time. Bye.